welcome to episode 58 of TerrorVision Horror Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Dan McGinnis, and joining me on my midnight meat train of murder, mass destruction, coolness is my co-host, Jennifer, the Dream Warrior Strand. Welcome to our Spoilercast episode where Jennifer and I set ourselves a horror movie to watch and then we go through it scene by scene, spoiling the fuck out of it. It's a deep dive into glorious gore, hard edits, cheesy acting, directing madness, severed wangs, and compound fractures. Together, we are two people with a love of horror, but we feel the burn of our obsolete blockbuster memberships. I'd just like to thank all of our listeners who support us over on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Breaker, Castbox, Google Podcasts, Radio Public, and the YouTube. We love you, and we can't do this without you. So we like to shout out to you, people who have interacted with us over the past week or the past fortnight. People like Harley Hoffman, Audio Blood. Check out Audio Blood podcast if you get the chance. It's really, really cool. Alice Krang, Michael Towns, Osty, Daniel J. Cross, and the Print Parlor.
Oh.
Why would the Print Parlor be like talking to us?
Oh my God. So, surprise, we're getting some shirts made.
Yoo!
Yes. So the Print Parlor have been absolutely fantastic in A, getting back to us, B, being really fantastic with prices, and being able to match the TerrorVision color scheme.
I know, which is like the ugliest two colors I could possibly find.
But I love it. I love them so much. And of course, they've done all this to make your design work really well on a shirt. So we're going to have some shirts very, very soon.
Cool. So everyone can shut up and stop hassling me that they want t-shirts because we've got them.
Yeah. So
we will get in contact more. Actually, by the time there's... No. I was going to say by the time this goes up, we might have it. Nah, this is only going up on next Tuesday, isn't it?
Yeah. No, I'll sort some stuff out because we'll obviously have a payment option and a location. So we'll obviously be able to ship them as well. Not to America. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, bugger that.
But within Australia.
Australia. Anyhow, so as we go through the film, we don't leave you sitting there with your dick in your hand. We have a rating system, don't we, Jen?
Oh, boy, do we. So, everybody playing at home, we've got the A, awesome, everybody should watch. B is our beer and chicken wing group movie. F is for fun and dumb. C is a classic that's worth a watch. U is underrated. O, an overrated motherfucker. G is good for its time, but is not held up. We've got the J, Jen special, the D, Dan special. We've got a whatever. The Kesha, low budget hot mess. C-, craft is stellar, but I hated the content. And the fucking fucked. The McConaughey, the cream of the crap. We watched it, so you really don't need to.
And this week we watched Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 as per Jen's choice.
Heck yeah. I stand by it.
Yeah. What year is this from?
So Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 is 1986.
86.
86.
So we're looking... 1 year before Bad Taste.
1 year before Bad Taste,
That's all
yes.
I know.
And I think it was well over a decade since...
the first one.
So it was about 12 or 13 years. The first one was 1974.
And what had director Tobe Hooper done in that time? Was it Madhouse? Crazy House?
Funhouse? Which everyone loves and I hated.
Yeah, we didn't like.
So, whatever. Directed by Tobe Hooper. Screenplay by L.M. Kit Carson. And obviously based on characters created by Tobe Hooper. It stars Dennis Hopper.
Why not?
Why not? In a role that he stated that is the worst film he's ever been a part of until he was part of Super Mario Brothers.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes. He was part of that, and I watched it recently. Also stars Caroline Williams, Jim Sido. He is the only person to reprise a role from the original film. And, of course,
What time was he?
He was Drayton Sawyer. He was the guy that just wouldn't shut up. The old man. The chili...
Oh, Chili. I called him Chili Man.
Chili Man. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought he looked familiar.
And this is also his last screen role.
Isn't it funny to think that his role in this thing is what McConaughey, shaped himself for Texas Chainsaw New Massacre?
He's like
New Generation?
Drayton Sawyer, I could beat that.
They should have called it Texas Chainsaw New Massacre.
It could have been. Yeah. And of course, Bill Moseley in his fantastic role as Chop Top.
Such a good name. They never say his name in the film.
No, they kind of don't, do they?
No, they don't. They only say Bubba.
Yeah, well, Bubba's Leatherface.
Yeah, and they call him Leatherface and Bubba?
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. Makeup effects obviously done by Tom Savini.
Why not?
Oh, why not? Budget, $4.5 million. Box office return, $8 million.
Sure. Why not, mate?
So this is a successful film.
The first time I saw this film, was very close to me. I got put into hospital and nearly died like the next week. I can really remember it because I watched it and I was like, this makes no sense. And then my kidney shut down and I went to hospital. I'm pretty sure that's what caused it.
Yeah, okay, sure.
Yeah.
Well, that's...
What's the synopsis of the film? What's his tagline?
Oh, after a decade of silence, the buzz is back.
Buzz with 3 Z's.
Yeah.
So it's about bees?
It is.
Excellent.
Save the bees. A chainsaw-wielding maniac Leatherface is up to his cannibalistic ways once again.
He doesn't eat people.
No, he doesn't. Along with the rest of his twisted clan, including the equally disturbed Chop Top. This time, the masked killer has set his sights on pretty disc jockey Vanita Stretch Brock, who teams up with Texas lawman Lefty Enright to battle the psychopath and his family deep within their lair, a macabre, abandoned amusement park.
All right, so monologue. The film opens with a big old monologue, which I'm just going to play now.
Oh.
On the afternoon of August 18th, 1973, 5 young people in a Volkswagen van ran out of gas on a farm road in South Texas. 4 of them were never seen again. The next morning, the one survivor, Sally Hardesty Enright, was picked up on a roadside, blood-caked and screaming murder. Sally said she had broken out of a window in hell. The girl babbled a mad tale. A cannibal family in an isolated farmhouse, chainsawed fingers and bones, her brother, her friends hacked up for barbecue, chairs made of human skeletons. Then she sank into catatonia. Texas lawmen mounted a month-long manhunt but could not locate the macabre farmhouse. They could find no killers and no victims, no facts, no crime. Officially, on the records, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre never happened. But during the last 13 years, over and over again, reports of bizarre, grisly chainsaw mass murders have persisted all across the state of Texas. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre has not stopped. It haunts Texas. It seems to have no end.
And, so that was it. What do you think, Jen?
Well, you know, it delightfully recaps the whole what has previously happened. It's been 10 something years.
It's like a piss take on the first, Texas Chainsaw monologue that, this is the true story or whatever.
Yeah.
It's kind of like even the narrator sounds like he's nearly laughing because it's so
he's
so clunkily written down. It just doesn't have any flow or anything.
He's like, you want me to read this? Sure.
Sure, I'll read this.
You're going to give me a bag of weed? Okay.
He goes, I'm not even going to proofread it first. I'm just going to read it off the bat.
All right, you guys get one shot.
And then we get some red credits over a black screen. Pretty standard. Just do some chaotic music.
Well, I found the music to be very Psycho-esque.
Yeah.
But with an 80s flair to it. And I was kind of...
It was like 80s flair orchestra.
Yes.
So it had that kind of... But it was kind of just textbook kind of horror movie music. And it didn't really go for anything new, but it was okay. You can hear it right now. I'm playing it.
Fantastic.
Can't you hear it, Jen? In your head?
In my head, I can, yes. Mm-hmm. It's beautiful. Glorious.
We open to a rural setting. Oh, look at this beautiful place.
It's barren and deserted and delightful. And there are dickheads driving.
There are. We get some people that you hate the moment they come on. They're like rich youths, I've called them.
They really are.
They're driving like a little what are they called? Not a station wagon. What are they called? Coupe.
Yeah.
Little car cruising along. They're partying. One's got rose reflective. What are they called? Like those.
The holographic sunglasses.
Yeah.
And he's drinking beers. He's got the world's most irritating laugh.
Yeah, and for some reason he has a handgun.
Yeah, and he's just shooting shit out the window.
So they're shooting shit. They're drink driving. They're yelling. They're listening to the radio really loud, and you just hate them. You're supposed to hate them straight away. They're rich fuckheads who just. And they're shooting cardboard signs.
And letterboxes, that kind of thing.
The signs were all just cardboard that they were shooting.
They weren't as bad as we thought because they didn't have double popped collars.
That's true. I don't know, what does double popped mean? How do you double pop a collar?
Well, you know how your collars pop?
Yeah.
Well, they usually wear the polo shirt over a polo shirt and you double pop both collars.
I didn't even know it was a thing. I reckon I've missed out on a whole thing.
What were you doing? What were you doing?
No wonder I was single for so long. No, and then we also cut to our introduction of our main character. Mm-hmm. The lady, we cut to a radio station, and there is a lady DJ, disc jockey.
She's a disc jockey.
Her name is Stretch.
Yes, and I love her.
Yep, so she is a young lady with hair. She's got she is just she's like the main character. She's like quite good looking.
She's very good looking. She's got a beautiful, she's got that very Texan sort of voice, but the way she speaks is like, I would listen to you speak. Just read me stories.
Yeah, she
please.
does actually sound like a full-on Texas radio DJ. She wears like cut off, like short cut off jeans, short.
It's hot.
She's vests maybe. She's very Texan.
She's got some denim going on. Now, of course, these dickheads are listening to her on the radio, and they 100%, they're like, oh, I love her. Let's call in to the call-in talk show. So he calls from his car phone.
Oh, his big old car phone. And then they're like, okay, whatever, you're drunk, like, hang up. But their radio station, for some reason, can't like hang up from the listener unless they hang up. And I'm like, that's not a very good radio station.
No. So they're like, while this is happening.
So they just refuse to hang up.
Yeah. They're like, no, we're not hanging up. And she's like, get off the line. And she's like, LG, get him up the. He's like, I'm working on it, darling.
Yeah. So LG is like her
the station manager kind of.
Yeah, like
tech
the
guy.
Roz of Frasier.
Yes, he's the producer.
The producer, that's it.
So they're going this back and forth while these dickheads are like...
yelling and hooting.
Yeah, yelling, hooting, carrying on. And, of course, we get this shot of a sort of a truck, a ute.
Driving pickup.
Towards them. Yeah, pickup driving towards them. And then they decide, what are they going to do? They're going to play chicken.
So, yeah, we hear this on the radio. And they're just like, hang up, you dickheads. And they're like, we're playing chicken. And now they play chicken. They run the car off the road. They're like, we're fucking wicked.
Big mistake.
It is a big mistake because clearly...
Yep. Oh, you good. But also while this is happening, the soundtrack that's playing over, so we're getting a lot of like 80s punk music, which I'm very much in love with. But, they hang up and later in the night we cut back to they call up again because of course, no one screens the calls.
No, why would you?
And of course we find out that one of them's name is Rick the Prick. And this is the dickhead with the glasses who I desperately want to die a horrible, horrible, horrible death. He's pretty much just a dickhole.
Yeah.
So they're on the phone, they're carrying on as they start to drive across the bridge.
Yeah, so basically they're driving across this bridge. We see some lights turn on in front of them and they're like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And it turns out to be the pickup truck that they run off the road.
It swerves, it cuts them off, they stop, and then they're like, oh, you fucking can't you drive like a maniac. Why are you doing that?
They don't realise it's the same truck. It somehow got in front of them.
Yeah, that's fine.
Anyhow, this is weird. They drive off, but then the truck pulls into reverse and then drives next to them.
Yeah.
And then this whole next scene is performed on maybe the longest bridge that has ever existed in the world.
It's certainly not Goatsman's bridge. But yeah, so like this whole sequence is happening over the radio as well. So... they take a look at the car that's like reversing next to them, and there is a giant like corpse popping up in the back of the truck. It's dancing, it's bopping away, and it's carrying on before it like picks up a chainsaw and starts attacking the car.
Yeah, they're all screaming and stuff right next to this corpse. Like, and it's weird. It's just, like this weird, and you can clearly see that it has someone behind it.
Somebody's kind of puppeteering it.
Puppeteering this corpse. It's like stuck to this chainsaw.
Yeah. So we're sort of cutting in between this happening
and this is weird.
And Stretch on the other end being like, hang up. At one point she's just like, hang up, hang up, hang up, hang up. Calm down. They'll hang up.
Yeah, so we're basically, I don't know if it's getting played on the radio though.
Yeah, so it is live. It is out on the radio. So this is all happening and everyone can hear it.
But I think they're playing music over it as well.
Yes, I think she's trying to drown them out as best as she can. Now, obviously, Rick the Prick decides, well, these dickheads are being dickheads. So he hangs out the
gun.
Yeah.
He gets his gun out.
He does.
His big dick trouser.
He shoots the corpse in the face and pops it off, revealing Leatherface is the puppet master behind the corpse.
None of this shit makes sense.
Why doesn't it? Why are you asking
So Leatherface has sticky taped the corpse to his front and he's just dancing with it as
he
if
likes
the corpse...
to dance.
Yeah, he does like to dance.
Yeah.
Anyhow, they all like go, what the fuck? And they're
Yeah.
yelling and screaming. Leatherface then like... He cuts the top of the car off.
Yep.
Somehow with a chainsaw that can go through metal. Sure, why
Yep.
not?
He does.
And so this is all happening.
Yeah.
Still on the bridge. And they're still driving in reverse next to them.
This is some of the best driving I've ever seen. Move aside, Fast and Furious.
I know.
This movie's also about family.
Dom.
Let's get a crossover.
About family.
I want a crossover.
Oh, yeah. Texas Chainsaw, the Fast and the Furious, whatever. Fastest Chainsaw. Anyhow, so basically they cut the top of the car off and then everyone's yelling and shit. And then Leatherface cuts the top half off of the driver, dickhead.
Yeah.
And this is probably the best, I think this is one of the greatest gore scenes in the world, a la Bad Taste. So the top of his head's cut off. He's got the bottom of his jaw. We see the blood splurting out the top of his...
His hands are kind of still trying to, like, hold his head,
his
which
rubber,
does not
his rubber
exist.
mannequin hands.
Yeah.
Going around, like, everyone's yelling. It's all very loud, this scene.
It is. It is very loud. It goes on for a little while. And, of course, once that's happened, Rick the Prick has got nothing to do, nowhere to go. And, of course...
Car crashes.
We cut back to the radio station. We hear the scream. And, of course, the car crashes. The lines go dead.
And that's it. End of scene. Then we cut to Dennis Hopper as a ranger. He's a ranger, a Texas ranger investigating the said car crash the next morning.
Yes. So he's referred to as he's Lieutenant Lefty.
But I just called him Hopper.
You called him Hopper? That's okay. He walks the scene. He's surveying the bridge. He's surveying the wreckage. He sees the chainsaw marks in the door. He finds Rick's glasses. So this is unsatisfying for me because I hated this guy so much and he should have had the chainsaw head death. Did not get it. Don't know what really happened to him. But that's fine. The cops rock up and they're like, get this cowboy out of here. And, Dennis Hopper, he turns around. He's like, you guys know why I'm here. He's like, this has a connection to these cases from like 13 years ago. And of course, he starts arguing with one of the local officers. And he's like, look, I need your help on this. He's like, dude, you just got to let it go. So Hopper is obviously attached to this in some way, but we're not 100% sure how, but he's really invested in thinking that it has got something to do with these murders that happened 13 years ago.
Basically, he just gets like, everyone thinks he's a dickhead.
Everyone does. He's a huge joke and a big old dickhead, but he pleads with the officer and he's like, look, I need this in the paper. I need you to put it in the paper and say that this could be related to this thing. And then, of course,
they do, which I found really weird. I'm like, because they're all like dismissing him. They're swinging their dicks around. Hopper's swinging his dick around. Well, there's dicks hitting dicks. Like,
oh, this is fantastic because his dick is sitting in a car, casually smoking a cigarette, looking like an absolute smug dick.
Smug dick.
Smug dick.
Anyway, that's it. Basically, it's just about Hopper wanting them to put it in the newspaper, and they kind of do. Next, we cut the Stretch, and she's visiting Hopper's hotel room, and it's all like party because this town has a party happening in it at the moment. Yeah. It's like some sort of like. All the people come from other surrounding towns. They've got some big party weekend. And
it's like an annual football game.
Yeah,
so it's a huge football game. It's like one of the biggest events of the year. Yeah.
Idiocy.
So she knocks on the door. He answers. He's pretty drunk as well. Like, he's drunk. He's fucked.
But he's angry drunk. He's drunk because no one's listening to him.
No, and but then he immediately fobs her off.
Yeah, I know. And she's like, I saw your newspaper article. I've got it all on tape. It was live. And he's just like... He just dismisses her. He won't even listen to the tape. And he's just like, get out. And I'm like, this is where the story falls apart. I'm like, this is a dude obsessed.
Yeah.
And then someone comes with actual solid evidence of the thing he is for his whole, and he won't even look at it.
No, and it's like, absolutely like, I don't know if it's because she's a woman or I don't know, but she's like, look, this article in the paper, the town thinks you're a joke. I am the only person here who wants to help you. Like, you need to listen to me. Like, I want to be more than just a radio DJ playing headbanging music. I want to be a journalist. Yeah. We can help each other. And he's just like, nah, fuck off.
And that's the end of that scene. She fucking just fucks off. She's like, see you around, dickhole. And then she leaves. And then we cut to a chili competition. Sure, why not?
No, well, it's the annual chili cook-off, which is fantastic. And I love that LG's sitting there.
So LG's the producer.
The producer. So she catches up with him and he's like making a log cabin out of chips. And this is fantastic. He's like, it's a fry cabin.
And she's all like pissed off going, you didn't fucking even let me look at it. And he goes, I made you a log cabin out of chips. And she's like, oh, LG.
Oh, LG.
Life is good. Is that what it stands for? Life's good?
Yeah, that's right.
So he's an appliance now. He's a Friggo.
So
They're at the chili competition. Yeah. They're there to report it live for the radio because it's so important, AM radio.
Well, look, Texans
and their
take
radio.
Their chili seriously.
And their radio. And their AM radio. Yeah.
Like, chili cook-offs are big business and big media buzz. And, of course, the woman is on the stage and they're about to announce the winner. And, of course, Drayton Sawyer is announced the winner.
Mr. Sawyer, I called him. Yeah. And we all know that he is clearly one of the killers because he's on the front of the video cover.
Well, there's that too.
As we can mention, in the Breakfast Club pose, all the characters.
Yes, very much so.
So, anyhow.
So he stands up on the stage and you think for a second, oh, that's the guy from the first movie.
Oh, yeah. That should have given it away as well.
10
and
years
clearly he's like, they're going on about, like, how do you get your chili so good? You just have to use the right cuts of meat. And I'm like, clearly he's making chili out of people.
Yeah. And of course he at some point he picks up something and the woman looks at it and he's like, oh, no, it's fine. It's like a toenail or something.
It was a tooth.
Like, oh, it was a tooth?
Yeah, he goes, the gum nut.
It's like, it's a peppercorn.
Peppercorn.
Pay no mind. It's fine.
Yeah, that scene's over with, basically. And then we cut to overacting Dennis Hopper buying in a chainsaw shop.
This is fantastic.
This scene makes no sense.
It doesn't, but I love it. So he proceeds to walk into this chainsaw store. It's called Cut Right Chainsaws. Fantastic.
So Dennis, he's a ranger.
He's a man.
He's trying to... And then he just decides. So you at first you're like, okay, he's just going to look at chainsaws to maybe go, who's bought chainsaws recently?
Yeah.
Trying to get some investigating leads. No, he's not doing that. He is just there to fucking buy weapons.
You got to get into the mindset of a chainsaw killer. So he walks in. He basically pulls out a wad of cash, drops it on a wood stump.
The biggest. If someone did that at my work. I've had people do that, just throw money down.
Yeah.
But as they walk in and then go look with their money on the table, and I'm like, can you just take your money until you have to pay? I don't want to have to deal with your money sitting here. Yeah, it's weird.
That's rude. I'd be like,
it's the height of an obnox.
Yeah, obnox. Very much so.
He's an obnox.
So Hopper, he starts picking up. He's picking up chainsaws. He's feeling the
weight.
The weight. He's got couple in his hand. He's doing a little chainsaw dance.
So he basically picks up a gigantic chainsaw, a la on the same scale of Leatherface.
Yeah.
And in this movie, the chainsaws are fucking massive.
Oh, yeah, they're huge.
And then he picks up 2 hand chainsaws that he kind of dual wields for a while. They're not on, but he's
feeling it out.
He's measuring their weight
the owner of the business has walked over and Hopper says nothing. This whole fucking scene says absolutely nothing. And the owner's just kind of looking at him and he's kind of every so often he has to duck out of the way. And he's just like, this guy's a lunatic. And he goes, do you want to... He just starts to walk out and he's like, do you not want to test him first? He just picks up the money and he's like, but
it's weird because he never says yes. But Hopper walks out and there's a log out the front, which you can see has some marks in it where people just test chainsaws. And Hopper just starts yelling. He turns the chainsaw on, the big one, and just starts yelling and hitting it into this log, a la Leatherface style. But what I really like is the clerk just looks at him and says the line, "My aching banana." And at first he's like bewildered. He's perplexed by what's going on, the clerk. But then he just keeps going and he just suddenly gets into it. He's like, yeah, fuck yeah.
He started out like, oh God, you're going to wreck it. You got to wreck it. Oh, you go hard. You do it. You kill that log.
Basically, that's it. That's the end of that scene. So now Hopper has a big chainsaw and some dual wielding smaller chainsaws.
So Stretch rocks up to the radio station and, of course, Hopper is waiting out the front on the steps for her. And he's like, look.
I'm a fuckhead.
I want to hear the tape, but I want to hear it on the radio, on your show. And she's like, I can't do that.
So this is another whole complete turn of his character. At first, he didn't even want to listen to it. At first, no, he didn't care who believed him. And now he wants her to play it on the radio because it's going to validate his story.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why wouldn't he have just fucking done that from day one? of first meeting her.
Yeah. So he's
his character is all over the place.
He is very much he convinces her. He's like, well, you want to be a big shot journalist? This is how you're going to get your start. And... he's just like, you got to do it. The killer is here. The person involved in this are around and you can be the one to help me solve
He
this.
basically sweet talks her.
So, of course, she's like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, she's like, fuck it. So
That's
then, so she plays the whole like tape without music online, and like, you know, her fucking producer's like, what the fuck's going on? And it's just like the start of the movie. You just hear like, fuck you, chainsaws
stuff,
and all shit like that. You know, and everyone's like, what the fuck? But then we see Sawyer, or you know, Drayton. I don't know what to call him. Hey, I just called him Dad.
He's not even the dad though. He's the brother.
Oh yeah, he's just.
I just called him Drayton.
Mr. Sawyer. Oh, Curry Man.
Chili Man.
Chili Man.
So he's in his like chili wagon, driving back,
coming home.
He's singing a song. He's real fucking happy.
Like
he's chuffed with himself.
His
because
trophy
he's won.
has the chili in the top of it as well.
Yeah.
That's just leaking out. Anyway, he hears this and he's like, "You fucking fuck."
Well, he gets a phone call. So he gets a call on his car phone, and of course it's Chop Top informing him. He's like, "You got to change something." So he changes the station. He's like, "What do you mean?" And he's like, fucking, oh God, like I told you, you gotta take care of it.
Yeah, basically he just stresses at Leatherface and Chop Top over the phone because they got recorded. They went out and got recorded, and it's supposed to be a secret of them killing. I do like that he's in a food truck.
Yeah.
Before food trucks were cool.
Yeah.
Like,
so, yeah.
He's
cool.
He's a chili food truck. Because he's a chili man. And he stresses out, and that's kind of the end of that kind of thing.
We cut back to the station. It's now 1 a.m. So Stretch, she's concluding her show. And LG walks and he's like, there's been multiple complaints. And then he just randomly spits on the floor.
Yeah, he spits all the time.
It's gross.
But it's not even like, he spits on the floor, but it's not even like a chewing tobacco spit. No,
he's just
spits.
spitting.
He just hocks loogies everywhere indoors. And I'm like,
Yeah,
anyhow,
it's gross.
Life's good. He leaves.
He does.
I just called him Life's Good the whole time because of LG. Do you get that?
Yeah.
LG appliances?
Life's good. Yeah. So she kind of reiterates. She's like, dude, like, people complain about the requests every night. We're a request show. Someone requested this, so I played it. He's like, okay. He kind of hits on her a little bit as well, and she's like, nah, it's okay.
And he goes to get coffees.
And he leaves.
He goes to get some coffees because even though it's the end of their shift, it's a bit weird. And she goes out into the next, she hears something. She's like, what fucked up? She goes into the next room and we get introduced to, we have Chop Top sitting there in kind of the waiting room, you know, of the studio.
Yeah.
She's like, we're fucking closed. And he just starts rambling on. Now, Chop Top, to explain his character, he's kind of basically, I mean, if you've never seen a Texas Chainsaw before, imagine Riff Raff from Rocky Horror Picture Show, but fucking gross.
Yeah, pretty much. And
like,
he just acts like...
Riff Raff crossed with Beetlejuice.
Yes. And he does, like, so obviously we watched Beetlejuice recently.
Yep.
So rewatching this now, I'm like, fuck, he really did take a lot of this character. And he's there and he's like, I'm interested in buying some airtime. And
we're about some airtime.
Like,
he says it in Beetlejuice's voice as well.
Yeah, like she's a little bit freaked out.
He's got like black hair, big like kind of...
It's like a Sonny Bono hair. And he's holding a coat hanger, which he continuously heats up with a lighter, scratches at his head.
And we hear like when he scratches it, a little like...
Yeah.
It's kind of cool. It's like a nice little character adding to make him grosser.
Picks at whatever's on it and
sometimes he eats it. Yeah.
And
he's just like babbling on to her, being what I've described as people, me and you work in retail. It's like dealing with a fucked customer.
Yeah.
It's like, because you're just like, all you want to do is just, you know, those like people that come in and you're just like, oh God, you're just going to like either get angry or you're going to fucking say something or you're going to do something. So you just have to kind of like talk them out of the shop without kicking them out of the shop. Mm-hmm. So, okay, man, it's time to go now, man. Have a good one. Yep, totally.
Yeah, I'm not that nice. I'm just like, it's time to
you are when they're threatening people.
Yeah, I've had a couple of threatening things, and that's a little bit...
And they're always right at the end of the day when there's no one there.
It is always at the end of the day.
They're just dudes that are walking past and they're already drunk, and they're like just fucking skeggers. Fucking jerk. Or she's just like, I'll give you a tour, and she basically goes, here, this is that.
This is Stretchy Man.
Yeah.
This is Shark on a Stick.
Shark on a Stick. This is a lamp, and there's the exit. Goodbye. And he's like, huh?
He's like, goodbye. And she's like, good night. And he's like, good night. And this goes on for a little bit, and it's really comical, but it's also like, this is what they do. Yeah. This is creepy.
It's just like they don't take any social cues. Anyhow, he won't leave. And then
he's like, well, what about my request? He's like, this is a request show. Like, I just have a request. And then he's like, I don't know. He's like, I like this. I like what you were playing. I like what you were playing. It sounds like the soundtrack to like Rambo 3.
Yeah, Rambo 3.
He's like, so she's just like, and he turns. He's like, well, what's in there?
Yeah,
She's
so
like,
she goes,
well, that's the record vault.
and all of a sudden,
Oh, this scene is good because immediately it just turns and bam, the light comes on. Leatherface comes running out, which is so strange because the chainsaw never gets turned on, but as soon as the light goes on, the chainsaw's on.
oh, he's ready.
He comes running out.
Oh man, this film doesn't have any fucking like continuity, eh? Like,
No. He hits Chop Chop in the head.
yeah,
he goes
down.
down.
Leatherface goes to swing at her and hits Chop Chop in the head with the chainsaw.
Yeah, so he
and
misses.
his wig falls off. It was a wig the
It was
whole
a wig.
So he's got these like gross, long, spindly bits of hair and a bald top, a la like Riff Raff.
Yes, very much so.
And he's got a big metal plate in his head, which is what he has been scratching and burning
And
with the coat
picking
hanger.
off the skin.
Yeah, which he says he gets it from Nam.
Yeah.
Anyhow, he's got like a metal plate in his head.
Yeah.
It's just kind of cool. It looks good. It's very Savini.
Yeah, very
It's got
much so.
Savini's like dick written all over it.
Very. This scene, so the scene where Leatherface like comes bursting out, I know this scene is coming every time. This is one of the very few scenes that makes me jump almost every time I watch it.
Yeah, I didn't know he's coming out.
Yeah. So, which I freaking love.
Anyhow, Stretch goes, oh, fuck this shit. She runs and locks herself into a big, like, it looks like this place must have been, the radio studio must have been used as like a fucking storage area, I think, because it has like a giant metal sliding fridge almost door.
Very
like
similar to the door in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
The one that he goes, and shut. Anyhow, she locks herself in this room and Leatherface, he can't get in there. He's cutting at the door. He's like, wah, doing his dance and shit. Hitting the door, it's sparking. This door's like fucking,
It's thick.
It's like 30 centimeters thick metal. Don't know where they've actually got it.
So we cut back to Chop Chop and he's standing there with his bald head and his strands and he's still going on about his plate.
He goes,
and
"You
he's
hit
just
my
like,
plate.
oh, my plate.
You
He
ruined-
bent my plate. Now flashback.
Yeah, you ruined my wig.
Yeah, he's like,
He's just constantly talking.
he doesn't. There's a lot of characters that don't shut up in this.
But I found that believable about crazy people would just all just keep talking louder and louder to get the floor in their own like little like ecosystem of idiocy.
Pretty much.
But
so Stretch is still barricaded in this room. It's still trying to like we've got this sequence that's cutting between Leatherface trying to get in and Chop Top now fucking throwing around records and checking
Being
out
an
records.
idiot.
And then of course the chainsaw stops and Leatherface gives off this little scream. And she kind of like, she's reminding herself, she's like, okay, they live in fear. Don't be scared.
Oh yeah, because Hopper like said that to her before. These people, they live on fear, so don't be scared.
So yeah, she's just trying to nut up and shut up. But look, unfortunately, LG rocks up to the station. He's got some coffees in hand. He notices the other car. He walks in to see Chop Top going through the record vault, and he's like, lick my plate, you dog dick.
Yeah, I've written that down. Yeah, because he looks at, LG looks at like him and goes, who are you? And he goes, lick my plate, dog dick. And points at his head. I'm like, what kind of fucking line is that?
And of course, at this point, Leatherface bursts through the door with the chainsaw, knocks LG off the stairs, and Chop Chop starts bludgeoning him with a hammer that he has somehow come across.
I think he has a hammer. They always have hammers.
Yeah.
They're into hammers. So
Why
yeah, so
wouldn't you?
Chop Chop's hitting fucking LG on the ground with a hammer. The only problem is this is a great scene. Like, it looks like he's getting hit. And there's blood fucking everywhere. But like, there's never any wounds on LG. It's just blood on him.
Yeah.
Like there's no like cuts in their face or their jaw fucked up or anything.
Yeah,
It's just, so it kind of looks good. Anyhow,
So Leatherface is somehow like, the saw's not working, but then he fixes the saw and he goes running back off on the hunt for Stretch.
Stretch has got a hook now.
Yes.
She found a hook in her little room. It's
Don't
like
know
a
where she
meat.
got that
It's like a
from.
meat hook.
Yeah, a
I
little
reckon
bit.
it used to be like a butcher or storage place. Or
Could
something.
be. So he jiggles at the door, nothing but silence. And of course, like, we get this like elongated like scene where there's nothing happening and she's just kind of waiting for him to burst through the front. But fuck that. He bursts through the wall on the other side.
Because it's just flimsy wood.
It is flimsy wood. And then we see this montage between Chop Top bludgeoning LG. This scene goes on for quite a long
we can
time.
just skip over
and
that.
then Leatherface
It's just
sawing into like buckets of ice
Yeah, they-
conveniently located where she sort of situated herself. It's like between
he
her
has
crotch.
like a big like session of just cutting into a bucket of ice and screaming into a bucket of ice and sodas. I'm like, so
she's now
that everyone's wet.
So she's wet, and it's so strange. And then she pulls rank, and she's just like, no, stop. And he stops. He's like, excuse me, you're talking to me?
No one talks to me.
And then it starts to get a little bit chainsaw weird, and
he's kind of holding his chainsaw low like it's his dick and thrusting towards because she's sitting there all wet with her legs spread because she's against the wall. And then the chainsaw becomes like an analogy for his dick, and he starts running up her leg and putting the chainsaw onto a vajuju, and she's just like, "Oh, you're a good boy." So she takes control of like, "Oh, maybe I can get out of this by like sexing him up or some shit." Yeah, it's weird. I didn't like this scene. I didn't want it to be in there.
But then he
wanks.
He does.
Yeah,
he starts to wank a little bit.
Right, you can see his hand actually wanking, and I'm like, oh no.
And she's kind of like,
let the wank.
Oh, okay. She ends up standing up in a corner and just starts screaming, and he just starts chainsawing everything in the room and in the studio before like air humping the chainsaw at her and running back out to Chop Top. So he
basically comes and then he destroys the room as all men do. I know I do that. Like after I come, I just destroy a room.
Yeah, this room's looking pretty messy today. I don't know.
Oh, what are you trying to say?
Yeah, I don't know. Don't know what you've done. It's so strange.
So he just comes and runs away.
But he's essentially like made it. Yeah, that's also a man thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Anyway, he's made it out to be like he's just killed her and left.
Yeah, so he doesn't kill her. He was supposed to. He tells Chop Top that he killed her because he kind of like, I'm a bit embarrassed because I wanked.
Yeah, he's like, I'm feeling really relaxed now. So yeah, she gone.
They grab dead LG. They take LG's body and they put him in the back of the truck for some curry meat. And then they drive off. And they drive off to Texas Battleland.
Yeah. So Stretch, obviously, Lefty was meant to come and meet her, and he never rocked up.
Yeah, she's like, Lefty, where the fuck are you?
So she jumps in the car, and she...
instead of going to the police or to help or to the hospital, she follows the Texas Chainsawers.
Yeah, so she jumps in her Jeep and drives off in pursuit of the car. And this definitely had a very Psycho-esque homage here as well with the soundtrack as well, which I liked.
And
this Texas Battleland does not in any way, shape or form look like a place that would have been fun or safe.
Yeah, I know. Texas Battleland is just like...
It looks like Magic Mountain.
It looks like Magic Mountain if Magic Mountain had a Halloween theme and was also where people are supposed to get murdered. It's a bit weird.
Very much
it's huge, this place. It's got a big underground section. It's just basically a gigantic, crazy fun land, which I think they actually found and based the whole film around.
Quite possibly, yeah.
Yeah, because it's real. Like, they didn't build this set. This is actually old. This is a found location, as they call it.
Which is
I'm
cool.
pretty sure.
But
they might not. They might have spent $4 million of that budget. I mean, there's nothing else in this film that they could have spent their money on.
No, you've got a little bit of stunt work, Tom Savini and the actors. So, yeah, it could be. Who knows? She pulls up and she kills the lights and she proceeds to follow them on foot.
Now, first she, gets chased by a car.
Well, this is now where she gets chased by the car.
Yeah, so she gets chased by a car. Which I'm just going to say is Hopper following her, but at no point does he just yell out, "It's me, Hopper!" Or, you know what I mean?
Do a little toot toot wave out the window.
He just chases her.
No, he just chases her.
And
then he ends up. She realizes that she's kind of run so far that she's stuck between the Sawyer car up front, which could potentially, if they check the rearview mirror, see the car following in her behind. So she kind of stops, and then of course the car stops. Hopper gets out, and she's like, "Oh, Lefty." And, of course, as that happens...
But first he says, "I'm sorry, I used you to draw them out." And I'm like, not the best plan.
He's like, "I'm sorry, darling. Used you as bait."
And then Stretch is stopped directly above the only small trapdoor in the whole country. It just so happens she stopped over this, 2 foot by 1 foot trapdoor that she falls down into. I'm like, she just stopped there randomly. It's a pretty... unlucky place.
It's a very convenient place to stand. So, of course, it opens up. Not completely.
She falls down.
He's trying to, hand her some weird skeleton hand to pull her out to safety. And he's just like, "I'm really sorry."
She just falls down.
She falls. So she goes running through tunnels, goes down slides, and then falls through a floor, and then another
Water
floor.
slide.
And then
So she's deep into fucking Texas Chainsaw Park.
So this place is fucking huge.
Yeah, so they don't even know she's there. Like, that's how big this place is. I would say it's fucking massive. It's like the intellectual Tonsley hub. Anyhow, Hopper goes, oh, fuck this shit. He goes to his car, opens up the boot, and he loads up his chainsaws onto him. And he's got, like, his 2 hand chainsaws attached to his belts, like guns in a holster. And then he's got his big one. And then he runs around yelling like an idiot for a while, chainsawing.
So I love this fucking scene because he's obviously at the entrance of this park, and he says his little prayer, and then he runs screaming, holding his chainsaw. So he's like, ah! Runs up to the door, stops, opens the door, and then it's just like, ah!
And runs in, and there's no one there because this place is so big that, like, they don't even know he's there. They've driven their car in and have kept driving for, like, down, like, service tunnels and shit. So.
Yeah, exactly. He starts walking around and he notices that there's some blood dripping from a hole in the wall. He kicks it in and a load of blood and entrails comes just gooping out.
It's not bad. It's like gore. Like, as in, like, it's just intestines and guts and gizzards are just filled the walls.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but they're not off or old.
It's like this happened this morning.
Yeah, it's a bit weird. It's just kind of a cool, gross thing. So the whole place is fucking gross. So
and then he just starts screaming and is like, I'm bringing it down. And he just starts running off down the tunnels, soaring at the support beam.
Yeah, so he's just like, fuck this place. It's bad. It's evil. I'm going to bring it down. Bring it all down.
Bring it down.
So he's just starting to now, he's just going to collapse the whole place, is his plan.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he doesn't know how big this place is, and these guys don't even know this is happening. No. They can't even hear the chainsaw. That's how far away they are.
But this is so strange. So he's aware that Stretch has gone down there. He feels sorry that he's used her as bait, but he's like, we can't divert from the plan. I'm going to bring it down. If I find her, I find her.
That's what I've written in my notes. Hopper has made what may be the worst plan ever devised.
Yeah. At no point is saving Stretch on his plan of things to do.
No, except when he ever sees her.
No. So we cut to her. She wakes up looking very worse for wear. She's on a pile of dead bodies.
Yeah,
She's dirty.
This is a great room. This is like a whole room, not just of dead bodies. There are corpses hanging. There are limbs hanging everywhere. It's just a fucking meat locker room full of people.
The door opens and she kind of just like hides behind a barrel. Leatherface walks in and he starts using an electric carver. A la Idle Hands, look at me, I'm Leatherface.
Look at me.
Which is really good.
It's a tiny little like this is an electric knife. So it's like,
yeah, it's so cute. And he starts carving up a body that's laying there and he's peeling off
we see it's LG.
We know it's LG, but it's kind of like
no other characters.
A little bit hidden. She doesn't know. So she's there trying not to like throw up as he's like hanging pieces. Yeah, this is a fantastic scene.
He's skinning him as he's like skinning off his leg, bit of his chest.
Yeah. And
which I think they should have showed this.
Yeah, I think so. And then of course he turns and he holds up LG's peeled face. And he's kind of like holding it and he's like putting it over his face. And then of course he notices he finds her. Yeah,
she makes a noise and he's like, huh? And he goes over to kill her and she's like, no, you're a good boy.
No.
You're
no. And he's listening to her. Like she's got some kind of hold over him. And he's like,
even though they've killed so many pretty girls throughout their times. Yeah.
And she might have been the first that's pulled rank on him. But he's like trying to decide like, oh, do I let everyone know or do I? But as he's trying to make his decision, Chop Top walks in and Leatherface is kind of like, ooh, as if he's hiding his porn collection. He's like, what are you doing? And he's like, Meow. And he obviously
they all leave. Yeah,
he leaves.
And then she's like, how am I going to get out of here? And
she's
he's like,
asking for help.
And he's like, I got an idea.
Yeah.
Put LG's face on. So there's this whole scene of her having to he puts LG's face over her face, then puts LG's hat on her head.
But I like as he's put the hat on, he's like shoving the skin up so the hat that it's under the hat as well. It's really like well done.
Yeah, and then
she's like,
and then I'm like, okay,
it's wet.
Okay, he's probably got a plan. No, he doesn't have a plan because he just wants to dance with her.
Yep.
And then they have a dance scene.
So it's dancing, it's strange, and then he's twirling her and then we cut to like Lefty. At this point, like Lefty's like still on his fucking weird shit fucking
Yeah,
thing.
so the whole time this is happening, we just keep cutting to Lefty, and he's like
Yeah.
chopping more girders down and stuff like that.
But this girder that is coming down sprinkles a lot of dust and shit up on top of them, and Leatherface is like, oh, and he fucks off.
So the baddies now realise that someone's trying to cut down their base, basically, and there's like some rumbles and shit in it, but they don't care.
No.
Anyhow,
So
Leatherface bails just to do something important, I suppose.
Yeah.
He just leaves.
Left her tied up. And of course, she, rather than trying to pull the skin off, she kind of can't quite get her hand there. But of course, LG wakes up. And
He's not dead.
He's not dead, despite being beaten that many times with a fucking hammer.
And having his chest and his leg and his face peeled off.
He's gurgling and he's like, and he sits up, and the first thing he fucking does is spit. And he's like, don't be scared, darling. And
he basically gets up. He walks around for a while and then sits down and dies.
Yeah, pretty much.
There's no relevance to the scene whatsoever.
He cuts the rope. He sets her free.
Then
he lays down.
Yeah. And then she's still wearing the face. She doesn't take it off at the first.
Yeah. I do like that as he lays down, he's just like, shit, and dies.
And then she takes her face off, puts his face back on him, puts his hat back on him, and kind of looks like, there you go. It's like, sleep well, young knight. You've done the world. Okay.
So she leaves the room, and she hears nothing but arguing and screaming as the roof is cracking and stuff's crumbling down. Chop Chop's dancing around and cackling with some kind of corpse, and Drayton is carrying on like an absolute fucking turkey.
Yeah, they're all. It's just a scene of the whole. I just call them the family. I don't know what to call them.
Yeah,
a la the family in South Australia.
Yeah, pretty much.
They're just about a bunch of crazy people who have come together as a family. This is a whole scene of them just yelling at each other. They're it's just showing how they interact with each other, which is just basically they all just yell.
Yeah.
And so you're just like, oh my God, this is fucking nauseating.
It's horrible because Drayton never shuts up, and he just goes on these
you fucking
monologues.
little... He's kind of like the dad yokel. He's like, you fucking idiot, you're always... He's always blaming someone.
Yeah.
Going on, you go out there, you do that. Anyhow, what's his name? Chop Chop's just having fun yelling. Leatherface just runs around like an idiot. They're having fun. They've got a person on a rotisserie cookery behind them. You know, it's just a Saturday night.
Happening. It's fine.
Saturday.
Celebrate.
Meanwhile, Hopper's still going crazy with his chainsaws and shit.
And Stretch is making stealth moves across to try and see if she can escape. Of course,
I've written here that she Solid Snake sneaks around for a while.
Pretty much, yeah, she really does. Of course, Leatherface spots her, and he tries to make these just these motioning moves. Because she is at risk of Chop Chop finding her, but she quickly ducks into a tunnel. Of course, she bides her time, she makes a break for it, and Drayton kind of spies her, and he's like, did you see that? Leatherface, he's like, nods, and then he's like, oh, wait, no, I didn't. He's like, go check it out.
Then we got to Hopper, and he comes across Franklin's skeleton in a wheelchair from the first film. If you remember, Franklin as the worst character.
He was the worst character.
I thought this was weird because they do mention that this family moves around from town to town, and he's tracking them. So they've been moving Franklin's skeleton around with them in the wheelchair, still holding the torch that he held in the movie for the last 10 years.
Yeah,
And he's like, oh my God, Franklin, because he says that one of his sons was the original one of his friend's sons, and it must have been Franklin. It's a stupid scene. It makes no sense.
No. But that sort of gives us the indication as to why he's there and why he's doing this.
And then Stretch starts to get chased by Leatherface. Even though he's just trying to get her out, he just has to make face and start chasing her down the brickworks tunnels. Basically, if you guys have been to the brickworks. He's there, there's this whole thing of they're chasing around for a while. It's this Benny Hill scene of,
a lot of running and a lot of screaming. So she runs down she finally gets around to this long tunnel, and of course, Lefty, just as Lefty's brings down a structural beam that traps her basically at the end of the line.
Everything Lefty does makes it harder for her to get out.
Yeah, so she's now barricaded in. She's got no way out. And
they catch her.
She's kind of just like, well, let's talk about it.
They catch her. The whole family kind of rocks up. They have some funny, stupid lines.
Bubba's got a girlfriend. Bubba's got a girlfriend.
Yeah, shit like that. And then we get of course, in every good Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie, we get a dinner scene.
We do.
And dinner scenes, how many films have these crazy dinner scenes? Like even Resident Evil 7, you have one.
Yeah.
Like you're tied to the chair. And they're always one person tied to the chair. Remind me also, what was that fucking Aussie movie we watched? The Crazy Girl?
Oh, The Loved Ones.
The Loved Ones. There's
Yeah.
a dinner scene in
Yeah,
that.
there's a dinner scene. It's just
Dinner scenes in horror
that's
films
the time
with one
you spend
person
with family.
with one person tied to a chair is like
Very
the
much
thing.
so. So they knock her out, they capture her. She wakes up.
Like basically in Texas Chainsaw New Generation, they do this scene word for word nearly. Like
Pretty
this
much.
whole scene from now, but they don't do it as good.
No, not nearly as good. Matthew McConaughey hasn't quite learned the art of chewing scenery as good as, because Drayton, he's still fucking banging on. And then he's like, well, what we're going to do is we're going to bring out Grandpa. So Chop Top and Leatherface wheel out Grandpa, who is 137 years old and still alive.
That's because they've got the power of immortality through eating humans.
That's what happens, yeah. And
this room that they're in is like the biggest set.
yes.
This is a fucking huge
massive.
room. This is like, this room itself is as big as the whole of the old Magic Mountain.
Yes, pretty much. And the attention to detail and all the little things that you see off in the
they've gone
background is
ham on the props
fantastic.
department.
I
There's
love
like
it.
bits made out of human bones everywhere.
There's like a skeleton reenacting that scene from the movie where he's like falls down on the bomb and he's riding it and he's like, yee-hoo!
Oh yeah,
So there's that
Dr.
as well.
Love.
Thank you, Dr. Strangelove.
Strangelove
Yeah.
and How I Fell in Love with the Bomb model.
Yeah, that.
Yeah, shit like that. There's stuff everywhere.
It's
So I'm
fantastic.
like, cool.
So
Big
she
crazy
wakes
set.
up, she's screaming, Grandpa's at the table.
And for those who don't know who Grandpa is, he is just an old, what looks like a dead corpse in a wheelchair. There's lots of wheelchairs in this film. There's a couple of shots of wheelchairs that were just abandoned. And he is their grandpa, but he's in the first film it was fucked. I thought it was worse in the first film.
Yeah.
Like where you think it's a corpse and they cut her fingers, put it in his mouth, and then he comes alive and starts sucking her fingers.
Yeah.
Yeah, Grandpa's here. They banging on about how Grandpa's the original killer. He could whack you out one hammer swing and you'd be dead.
Yeah. And Drayton has this whole monologue about the meat industry, and this is why the meat industry's killed this thing and done this thing, and they've been fucked because of it. Blah blah blah. They hand Grandpa the hammer. They kneel her on a tub.
They want Grandpa to kill her. They're like,
Yeah.
Grandpa's gonna kill her, gonna get her, get him out, and like
Of
to them
course
it's the best night out.
He takes a couple of swings and he's dropping
he's
the
not
hammer.
even-
And he's missing it.
He's
and
old.
He like pops her in the head and just doesn't really do anything. So of course, like Drayton comes over, he gives her a good smack in the head.
We have to also say that Stretch's character, the actress, is going crazy in these scenes. She is yelling so much. She must have fucked up her voice so bad. There is so much yelling. I had to not
Just
have
turn
my
the sound
baby in
down.
the same
Yeah,
room.
yeah, no, I could imagine. You wouldn't want to.
And she is going. She has finally lost it.
Yeah.
Like she's just like, this is too much.
Yeah, well, there's probably like the realization that there's no way out, and they're just like playing with her like a mouse.
Yeah, and our Grandpa's hammer skills are not what they used to be.
They are not.
He does not take her out, and
But that's okay because Lefty chainsaws through a wall somewhere, singing some song. And of course, Chop Top starts singing it, and they're like, where is that? What's happening? And then, of course, he emerges from a tunnel. Drayton goes
like
off
a Mario
again.
Brothers pipe. Maybe that's why he wanted to do Mario Brothers.
So. There was a few different things.
Also, Curry Man has knocked Stretch out. He just grabbed the hammer and went, fucking dunk.
Yeah.
She's knocked out. She's out cold at the moment.
Drayton has no idea. Like, he just thinks that this is a rival competitor. He thinks that this person has been sent by a rival competitor to
Stop his meat curry
to stop
business.
his successful business. So he starts like trying to like hand out wads of cash. He's like, what? He's like, well, what are you doing? And he's like, well, I am the Lord of the Harvest. And he's like, what's that? Some new health food bunch?
Yeah, that's what Hopper says. Hopper's going fucking bat nuts.
Yeah.
He chainsaws Curry Man in his arsehole.
Oh yeah, he does.
But he doesn't kill him. He just goes into his bum.
Yeah,
And Curry Man hides underneath the table.
He does, because he spots Stretch and he's just
talking
like, so of course, like, he now enters this chainsaw battle with Leatherface. And of course...
But he frees Stretch and she runs away.
She runs off. So now we're going to get this montage sequence that is just continuously cutting back between Stretch running off and Lefty.
Basically, the whole family scatters as
Yeah.
well, like when all this shit's going down.
Pretty
So
much.
the main focus of the film at the moment is Leatherface and fucking Hopper are having a chainsaw battle, standing on the main table of the room, while fucking Chili Man is underneath the table talking about his cut up hemorrhoids.
Yes.
And while Chop Top is out chasing Stretch around, and then it cuts back and forth. So, so that's happening. Hopper, and then they chainsaw battle for a while, like fighting like swords, which I'm pretty sure as soon as a chainsaw hit a chainsaw, they'd be fucked.
I just don't think that's going to be a thing that's happening, but that's okay.
And then Hopper then gets the fucking the upper hand on Leatherface, and he chainsaws him directly through the stomach and out of his back. But this doesn't faze Leatherface.
It doesn't,
He just
because
looks at it and
he's
he's like,
Leatherface.
he has a fucking chainsaw dance.
He does that little dance a lot.
So now Hopper lets go of the chainsaws, and now Leatherface has a chainsaw through him.
Yeah.
Hopper then starts dual wielding his smaller chainsaws.
Why wouldn't you?
And they still start to fight for a while. They're still fighting. Leatherface immune to death. Like, it's fine. Then we cut to Stretch, and her and Chop Top are fucking rolling around like idiots for a while.
Yeah, so
chasing.
he's jumped her. He's like, they've done the run around. He's finally got the jump on her. But of course, she's in a TV room, being that it's just a tunnel with a TV in it and a lamp plugged in. So she grabs the lamp, smashes it into his plate,
Electrocutes
him, and then he's down.
Which should kill a person. He's only video game down for a boss.
That's fine.
He's still got his like other phases to come up yet.
And of course, this whole time, Grandpa has kind of come to life. He's got the hammer in his hand, and he's kind of like waiting for his.
I thought he was going to be the linchpin in the whole story, but nothing happens with him.
No, he kind of just throws the hammer. It clocks Leatherface in the face, and he drops immediately onto the table, which breaks the table onto Drayton, who has at some point pulled a corpse from the table and has pulled out a grenade.
Yeah, so Chili Man is under the table. He's pulled out a grenade. Sure, why not?
Why not?
And then we just see... is that the end of like these three characters?
Pretty much, because we cut now to Chop Top has...
is now chasing thing, and we hear the explosion. So three characters die off screen.
Done. Leatherface, they're all off screen.
Leatherface, Chili Man, and Hopper are all dead, but you don't see it. And I'm like, that's not cool. That's not. They were such inaugural characters. And now the whole film, whole bit of the film is just Chop Top chasing Stretch around this complex.
She's found her way out, and she's making her way up the stairs to the top of the mountain.
It's daytime now.
Yeah.
So it's like a magic mountain.
Yeah, it really is. And he's chasing behind her. She kicks him a couple of times, and he sort of falls over the railing. The railing comes off, and he's left hanging, and she's just like, peace, bitch,
we're
I'm
into
out.
the highest peak of this structure now. It's all basically just cascading into this point of this giant mountain.
Yeah.
And it's got a little observatory at the top of it. She gets in there, and we see on a big fucking...
It's like an
altar or throne.
Yep.
There's like a giant kind of corpse of a lady holding a chainsaw, which we can only assume is Grandma.
Yes.
Who's never been mentioned to this point.
Yeah. Of course, Chop Chop enters, and he stands there. He starts monologuing.
It's Grandma.
He's cutting his throat up. And of course, she's
he cuts
like,
his own throat just to show how cool he is. Not too much.
Not enough to do anything. She's just like, I'm sick of this shit. She picks up the chainsaw, rips it from the corpse of Grandma's cold dead hands, and he starts going. He's like, no, not Grandma, not Grandma. She's moving a little bit as well.
Yeah, he runs over, and she's not dead. She's like Grandpa. They're going to like a state of hibernation.
Yeah.
So I'm like, they're slightly magical, which makes me not mind these films, that they're not just people. They're living for hundreds of years. So I'm down with that. It was very Resident Evil 7.
Very much so.
Like, you're like, how do these people keep living?
So Stretch is trying...
It's the mold!
It's the mold. Stretch is trying desperately to turn on the chainsaw while he's pissed off that now Grandma has died. You've killed Grandma. He jumps on her. They're wrestling around.
He starts cutting her up with
but she's still trying to...
He's got a...
It's like a switch... Not a switch
cutthroat razor.
Yeah.
He's just slashing at her while she's just trying to start the chainsaw.
Yeah.
So...
She finally gets it going. She saws him through the belly and knocks him off the balcony. back down.
That's a pretty good fall, I
This
thought.
is a great fall because he literally goes rolling down the hill and then down the tunnel back into the...
We never see what happens to him.
We don't.
Actually, you don't. Do you know what? You don't see what happens to anyone.
No.
They should have done a Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3 where Hopper was part of them.
Yes.
Where he just or had become them.
Yeah.
Because, anyhow.
He's now Leatherface.
So, he falls down to his doom, Choc Top, we assume. And then we get a wide shot
Yeah.
of Stretch. She is now on the balcony of this thing, with it holding the chainsaw above her head, doing the chainsaw dance. Now, did you see the thing behind her that pops up?
No.
So in the very last 2 frames, I don't know if this was a mistake. I rewound it like 3 or 4 times. So this shows a very wide shot. So we're talking like Stretch is like a little tiny in the middle doing the chainsaw dance. We see the whole landscape and that. And the very last couple of frames, you see something get up from behind her, which I'm assuming is the mother.
Oh.
Or it's just a mistake and it's someone on the set. But so she's doing the chainsaw dance and we get the vibe that she is now the new Texas Chainsaw. The new one is going to be a lady, which they never really did. But there is definitely something comes up behind her.
Okay, I'm going to have to go back and rewatch.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a mistake or anything like that. Final thoughts, Jen. That's the end. Cut to end.
That is the end.
There is no closure on this film. You never see if anyone dies and you never know what happens to anyone.
Nope.
All 4 characters just basically walk out of shot and then the film ends.
Done.
The end.
This movie is still so much fun though.
It's shit.
I enjoy it. I love this film so much. It is one of those films that I will probably watch it maybe once or twice a year. I mean, yes, there are some major issues with the overall story and the plot, and there are a lot of things that got lost that don't make sense. Dennis Hopper's fucking performance, he's he's just there for his paycheck, which is great. It's got some good gore scenes. It's got great humor. And I love the aesthetic of a radio station.
I liked all that, though. It's weird, though, because it's got a vibe. It seems like it doesn't have the production value of the first film, as in the polish of the actual just film and the cuts and the filming. It feels like it's like filmed with the budget of a television show back then, like a midday movie, or
it does have that feel.
Or a video feel more than a film. Like it's like they're using TV cameras or something like that.
They were using Canon. It was all Canon, so I'm not sure. There was a whole thing about it.
Oh, really? Yeah, because it definitely does have a different feel. Like just the grain of the film, everything about it just feels a bit too crispy. It's weird. No, it's very strange.
Well, I like it. I also love the aesthetic of a radio station. Like, I've always had a fascination with just how sort of grungy they look. And of course, Carolyn Williams just recently was in a film called 10 Minutes to Midnight, where she doesn't reprise her role of Stretch, but she plays a woman who has worked at this radio station for like 30 years. It's like her last shift. And she obviously doesn't have the Texas accent, but I could still listen to her talk to me. So that was pretty cool to see her sort of
She does
go
have
back to
one
that.
of those low voices.
She does.
The radio voice. Sexy voice.
Yeah.
I thought that the last bit of the film they made up as they went along, it actually feels like that. They probably didn't. But like the fact that you get no closure on any character or no death scenes or anything, it just felt like they'd written the script up to the point where everyone got to that last fight scene and they're like, we'll just kind of work with it.
Yeah. And
they just didn't do it. Choc Top's character was fucking great.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Stretch's character was fucking great. Those two, and you can see that they were the last two in the film as well. Yeah. So they probably realised that they were better at what they did.
And they've both gone on to lead very successful careers in the horror scene.
The horror genre. There's Hopper. No, he's in Speed, mate.
Oh, yeah, he is.
He's a cop with a vendetta.
He is.
What did you give it?
I forgot to rate it, but
so did I.
I'm definitely.
Isn't that weird?
It is so strange. Look, I'm going to give this a beer and chicken wing because the first time I watched this, I was having some beers and some pizza with friends.
This is definitely a beer and chicken with group movie. I watched a bit of this recently at Starblaze.
Yep.
We just had it on, like we were just hanging out, drinking some beers, and that he did DX or Daniel J. Cross.
Yes.
He says, let's just put on Texas Chainsaw 2, and I was like, really? He goes, yeah, man, let's watch the scene with the coat hanger.
Yeah.
And
it's
and
so
then we just
gross.
left it on in the background.
But it is one of those movies where you could potentially, you know, how in, like clubs they'd put movies on and stuff. This would be one of those perfect films for that kind of landscape.
For the club.
For the club.
Have you got any fun facts about it?
I do. So the family group shot, which we have just previously stated, which is seen in the advertisements, posters, and video covers, uses the exact same positioning as the promotional group shot for the movie The Breakfast Club.
So straight away that puts a vibe on the film that it's like
It's
tongue
not
in
taking
cheek
itself
or
seriously.
dick in face. It's like what?
Bill Moseley has stated that the role of Chop Top is his absolute favorite of his own.
Nice.
Carolyn Williams wanted to make a strong impression at her audition. So when she was called in, she went to the end of the hallway and then ran screaming into the room where she pulled Toba Hooper and Kit Carson out of their seats and used the chairs to barricade the door before she began her scene.
Whoa.
That's dedication.
Who would have thought all that effort went into this film?
Hey, a job's a job. And of course, the director Tobe Hooper and co-writer of the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Ken Henkel, originally had an idea for a sequel that would feature an entire town of cannibals. And it would also be a satire of the film Motel Hell, which itself was a satire of the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. The title of that sequel was going to be Beyond the Valley of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
That's too long.
Yep. But, of course, the studio forced considerable changes to be made to the screenplay, even going as far as hiring a new screenwriter. And, of course, the result of those changes was Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Basically the
Part 2.
storyline of Nailbiter, the comic book.
Yeah, okay.
It's like a whole town of serial killers.
That's awesome. Yeah. So Tobe Hooper was also originally going to produce the movie, but he eventually took over the directorial debut duties because the film's low budget meant they were actually unable to hire an affordable director.
Sure. Why not?
Exactly.
What do I want to watch next?
This is a good thing. Well, you've only got 2 films on
No,
your...
I can steal stuff from you.
You can always steal stuff from me, Dan.
I want to watch... Actually, I want to watch the 2018 Halloween film.
Yes!
Is that the one that's coming up, Halloween Kills?
Yes.
Yeah, that's the one I want. I want the one, what do we call it? It's like the first one to the Halloween film that's about to come out.
Yeah.
Like
We'll just say Halloween 2018.
Yeah, Halloween 2018.
Yep. Oh, man, I'm so excited for that. Oh, my God. Yes, please. Anyway, thanks, guys. You've been listening to TerrorVision Horror Podcast with Dan and Jennifer. We are available on all major podcasting services and also on the YouTube. But no matter where you choose to consume us, please make sure to hit the like button, subscribe, leave a comment or a review, and make sure you share with all your friends. You can interact with us on both Facebook and Instagram at TerrorVision Pod, which will keep you up to date on upcoming episodes, trivia, and of course memes that are definitely 3 years old by now. We also have an email, which is terrorvisionpod@gmail.com.
Yeah, and until the next fortnight. Until the next fortnight, may all your dreams be nightmares.